Not everyone. Really? 50 years ago. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm filling in for Matt today as he's enjoying the sunshine on the beach. Yeah, tough job. No, seriously, thank you guys for being here, and go ahead and get started here. The prayer, before we test. All right. Eternal Father, we give you thanks and praise, for you are the source of all that is true, beautiful, and good. You promised us that where two or three are gathered in your name, there you are in the midst of them. Be with us now. We ask you to bless our Rotary Club and the work that we do, both our club and the mission of Rotary International and those here gathered. And bless Steve as he leads his first meeting and doesn't pass out. We ask this through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. I'll say it. All right, we got the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice. And the four-way tests. First.
Truth.
Second.
Is there fair vote for third?
Third.
Will I be able to go well in French?
And finally, fourth.
Will I be beneficial?
All right. We'll have to see.
Yeah, sorry, 30, not what. We had fun. I'm good.
Do we have any updates from Team Ford today? You going? Going once? Once. Sold. All right, Mr. Carroll?
Hey, Steve. Hi, all right, missed everybody. Thanks for letting me come back to the club. Sorry I was detained in where was that? Canada. They wouldn't let me back in, but finally got back in. I'm glad to be here. So we took a wonderful vacation, a 2-weeker. That's my second one probably in my life. So I missed everybody. We had a good time. I would highly recommend Montana. It's an amazing place with amazing views. And then we went to Glacier National Park. If you haven't been there, it's an incredible, incredible place. We saw bighorn sheep walk right by us and a mountain goat that was laying up on a glacier. He looked like Mufasa looking down. Kids were laying down below him and he was just having a big day. So that was really cool. If you're afraid of heights, Glacier National might not be your place, but there's some great hiking there. And we went on the other side of Glacier and we went into Canada for a few days. And some of the most pristine, beautiful water lakes I've ever seen in my life. It was truly amazing and I would highly recommend it. I've been sending out some pictures of the, it's called Moraine Lake. This is all near Banff. And people are asking me if it was AI generated. It is not. It's a balloon that Crayola does not make. Wow. Yeah. And then good to be back. 3 out of 4 from the Pirates. Yes. Big win streak since the All-Star game. And we'll probably do nothing in the trade deadline at all.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
welcome back.
Tomorrow, today, 6 o'clock.
Okay. All right. We have some board members needed. We have some terms that expire 27, 28, and 29. And thank you to Jim for stepping in as the interim secretary. I really appreciate that. I'm going to call for Citizens of the Year nominations. The form is live on the website now. We're all good on that. Appreciate it. And Barb, the Barb's not. Barb's not here. Okay.
I think they've done that passed for that.
I'm gonna say, I think that just passed.
That just passed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then here's a little summary of the state that WCPO did a little video on, which is really cool. You can play here.
As Northern Kentucky's housing needs continue to grow, Florence families are faced with tough financial decisions. Now, the Rotary Club of Florence is helping families stay housed and keep their children in school with the help of the Sunrise of Hope initiative. Boone County currently has the largest housing shortage in Northern Kentucky of over 11,000 units.
With the median home sale price up more than 10% year over year in Northern Kentucky, it's becoming harder and harder for Boone County families to stay housed, setting children up for failure inside the classroom.
When a student is worried about where they're going to sleep, they're not focused on multiplication. When a student has moved houses and school districts numerous times in the school year, they're not establishing trusting relationships with their teachers.
Now, the Rotary Club of Florence is stepping in to provide rental and utility assistance to families in need with the Sunrise of Hope initiative.
We have been working to try to help families that are close to being evicted or having their power turned off.
The program wrote its first check back in January. Since then, it's raised $35,000 for families in need.
We've been able to help two families here at Collins Elementary School. The biggest success of that is both of those families are still housed in their original housing today.
The impact has been life-changing.
Being able to do this and provide stability, not only keeps families here where they know where the support systems already are, but it's providing the outcomes that we see here in education. So attendance improves, behavior improves. We're seeing social groups improve amongst our students who aren't displaced in the province.
Now, the hope going forward,
Right now, we're only serving a small number of schools within our school district. We'd like to be able to expand that and help other students from the school from.
in Florence, I'm Linda McDonald, WCPO 9 News.
Yeah.
Such a great effort, son. Let's see it. Get some attention. Awesome. Right. And then we have the Rotary Leadership Institute coming up on the 22nd of this month. It's from 9:30 to 4:30 down at Lexington. Now I'll be there. I mean, I think Matt's coming. Anybody else is going, whether it's on carpool or save some gas that day. But you can register right there on the websites, and it's very easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it. We have some volunteer opportunities and save the dates. This Thursday, we have the date hybrid meeting. Did you want to speak about anything going on in that side of the world? New member?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Saturday, the 15th is a community service project, and we're going to help the organization that subsidizes the Bellevue Community Garden. And I'll have more pictures after that, but it's a really exciting thing for us because I think this could be a long time partner with us for our people in our club who want to do service.
That's great.
So,
I'm excited stuff happen.
yeah.
Yeah, of course, the golf outing is coming up. Mr. Spickle and Wiener Feast is coming up in September. Be here for notes. River Speed, and then next year I have the clay scheduled, and of course we need in-county fair.
And mention one
Oh, yeah.
other thing. We're also in the preparing for a luau, an end of summer luau at Blue Caddy in Dayton. And it's intended to be just fun and meet other Rotarians there and have a good time. It's 5 to 7 p.m. There.
Okay. So thank you very much. Right, we got our hours in, we already 621. Almost had 4,000 for just pretty awesome numbers. That's good stuff. Thank you guys for all you're doing. You know, birthdays, we have a couple anniversaries. Brad's.
Hey.
Really? Congratulations. Do we have any happy dollars today?
Actually do.
All right.
So Saturday I was at a conference and received an email from the Kentucky Department of Ed that the governor has reappointed me to the Kentucky State Board of Education.
Oh, cool.
And I'd like to thank John Shuckle because when I was appointed the first term, he was sponsor of the resolution for me to be on the state board.
That's a job. So, yes, sir.
Happy dollars for 19th anniversary, and when I joined, we actually sang, so my happy dollar is that we don't do that.
Happy to, and a lot of you folks are grandparents as well, but we spent a week, Karen and I did with our daughter and her little girls, and just what a joy.
Oh,
Nothing
fun.
to play, but.
I got one more. Sunday was first time I was at the Indianapolis Speedway and enjoyed the Brickyard 400.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, wow.
It was hotter than blue blazes and nothing but sunshine coming down on it.
That's great.
It was fun. Yeah.
When do you have one?
I got a couple. My son just passed as a respiratory therapist and he just passed critical care and he can put 4 initials behind his name now. Motion at UC. So happy for that. And I have an unhappy and a happy dollar. So the unhappy dollar is I got hacked on my computer. So find out that they tried to transfer $1,500 out of my Truist account and the fraud team caught it. Then Fidelity, they tried to take out $5,000 out of my Fidelity account and they caught it. So what they did was they set up a remote access on my computer. So somebody in France was doing all of this. So everything's turned out good, but unfortunately, everything's shut down. Had to buy a new laptop, but it's just weird when, you get hacked like that. So unhappy, happy dollar. So like it here.
Tiffany's.
Oh, Tiffany is, okay, Georgie.
And I have one, my wife and I will be celebrating our 23rd anniversary this Friday.
Good.
I'll share one also. I have a son who lives in Turkey and he only gets over here once in a while with his family. And we try to get his family and my other son's family all together and take in a Reds game, kind of been a tradition. So I guess it was maybe 2 months ago, we got tickets for Saturday's game.
Okay.
And, so we're competing with the traffic from the Paul Brown concert, the big convention that was at the convention center, all the exits closed on the new bridge. Thought it was gonna be a terrible night. We got there, Reds lost, rain delay. We had a great time.
I have one too. My husband and I have just spent 37 years together on Wednesday.
Just to clarify, my dissing of the singing was not directed towards Gary, it was directed towards.
Gonna take your dollar.
Anyone else? Good. Any other announcements for the good of the group? All right. It's Julie, I'm
Okay.
bring you up and everyone gets respect for this today.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Samantha Harrison, who's the president and founder of Momentum Family Strategies. And I've written about Samantha because if you guys remember, Kara Cooch, who has joined our meeting a couple times, she's the editor of Oak Brook Living and I think Illinois Living.
Yes.
Samantha had a little article in it. I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I reached out to her and I'm like, Samantha, would you like to come and talk to us? So with more than 15 years of experience working with Kentucky's developmental disability service system, Samantha has guided hundreds of tri-state families through these difficult transitions. What happens when your the parents get older and you have a child with special needs. She frequently speaks to businesses, civic and professional organizations. about the impact on our workforce and often unseen responsibilities carried by adults siblings. It also, it goes back to the mental health issue. Sometimes we're just too afraid to share the vulnerability of what we're going through in our lives and what we're struggling. And you need a support system of thinking through that. So some of those.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Hello, my name is Again, I'm Samantha Harrison, president and founder of Momentum Family Strategies. We support adults with developmental disabilities and their siblings with navigating life after mom and dad. I have also been traveling this week to Arizona, and I'm realizing what the allergies have been like here in Kentucky. I had a little break and come back, so I apologize in advance for that. But you might be wondering, what is the secret lives of the professionals that are helping here in Northern Kentucky? And after spending 15 years in our social service system, I have noticed a clear pattern as our population is aging. We have many families with parents in their 80s and 90s who have adult children at home who have developmental disabilities in their 60s. And these are folks who have lived at home their entire lives. They could have been institutionalized before we started with our home and community-based programs where people with disabilities can live with us around in the community as opposed to locked away. These folks were on the edge of that group. And so mom and dad in their 80s and 90s have worked very hard to keep them at home. And now we have come up on a situation where they're no longer going to be able to meet those care needs. And so that's what we're working towards at Momentum. We help siblings who are stepping into that care role maximize their future planning dollars and help them figure out how they can continue with their sibling living either at home or in another place and have the great life that they know they want them to have, that mom and dad want them to have, even when mom is.
You have to get your presentation.
Yeah.
So there we go. Wonderful. Okay. I'd like to introduce you to the Pattersons. Bob and Carol Patterson spent decades caring for their son, Robert, who has autism. They helped him live a great life. They met with their estate planning attorney to do future planning. They built a special needs trust. They worked with their financial planner, and their affairs were all in order. They knew that one day their daughter Cheryl would take over when they weren't able to do so. And she dreaded the day because as hard as mom and dad had tried, it was very difficult for them to share the information that she needed to hear about her brother's life so that she could successfully step into that role. So she just waited for the phone call. And one day she had to step in and figure out how she was going to manage care. And the reality is this is the situation that's happening all the time from this generation of folks. We have siblings just like Cheryl who are working in our, I don't know what's happened with our formatting, who are working in our communities, who are working at your organizations. And they come to us and they say, mom and dad put all of these documents together. They've got it all, the legal documents, we have money, there's funding there, but I don't know how to get help. And more often than not, what I'm finding as I'm touring the state of Kentucky, but just in the Boone County area, is our professionals, they're hearing us talk about this issue and they're walking up to me and saying, my sister's been living in the basement for 2 years because my mom died and we have no idea what to do. And it is exceptionally common for our business leaders. And one of the things that we've noticed about that is that, being raised in a household with a sibling with disabilities, your parents were doing the best they could, right? But by default, they had to give more attention and resources to the sibling with disabilities. And so what we're seeing, especially in the around 60 age demographic, is that these folks went on and built their own life. They have their own circle of people that they spend time with, and many of them have become leaders. Either they are executives, they are business owners, or they are doing something at church that is in some kind of leadership project management type role. And that certainly was the case for Cheryl. We are seeing these leaders, not only are they stepping into care then for their parents in their 80s and 90s, they're caring for their adult sibling. If it's autism, Down syndrome, some kind of genetic situation, a lot of times there's a significant amount of life support that has to happen there, right? They are also now caring for themselves as their health needs start to change. They have children in college or grandchildren that they're trying to manage. And they're still helping hold up our infrastructure here, working in our organizations as they approach retirement. And it has just led to a situation where these folks are underwater. And because of the shame associated with disability, especially for the older generations, they're not talking to people about it. And it's interesting because the families we've worked with recently here in Boone County, one of which an individual was 93 years old. She had never had support from our social system before. We'd like to think we have great programs here. NKADD certainly is a wonderful part of that and other groups, but this older generation was not aware of that because they're not out with the events and things that came up after, working so hard to close our institutions. So, this generation really has worked for not the institution. We want anything but that. We want them to have a great life. We would rather them have a smaller life at home with us to avoid abuse. And for them, really accessing government services that are widely available now, albeit we have waiting lists in Kentucky that are an issue, has really meant to them, if it's government help, it equals abuse, is what we are seeing from mom and dad in their 80s and 90s, which is understandable. They witnessed horrific things that were happening in institutions back then. And so that has just stayed, and there's not been enough outreach to this generation as they've moved through life to be able to catch them up. If you have a school system now, you have special education, you have teachers that are directing you that way, they're connecting you with NKADD. That was not available. And so, one of the things that we're seeing that is just so difficult is mom and dad are passing away. So we're talking to somebody who is 60 years old, their entire life they've lived with mom and dad. They've known nothing else. They have probably very few friends, that type of a thing. Mom and dad are now gone. Their whole world is taken away. And the first thing we do is say, well, it's time for a group home. Let's move you out of the home you've lived in for 60 years and in with 3 roommates like college that you've never met before, who have different disabilities than you, that you've never been exposed to. And it's quite frankly a horrific situation. And most of the families, did you have a question? Okay. Most of the families that we see in this age group are wanting to keep their adults at home, but because we aren't providing education to this group, they are thinking their only option is a group home. And unfortunately, in the Northern Kentucky region in specific, there is a environment that really promotes, if you have a disability, you get a guardian and you go to residential, a group home. And largely, that's not the option that is, there's plenty of group homes across the state, but in other areas, it is an option for you to live in your own home. Most families do not realize you can use the same funding that would fund a group home to continue living in mom and dad's home. The home can be left to the person in a special needs trust, and there's all kinds of things to that. But that funding does not have to mean uprooting them from their home and moving them into. So the thing that we're working on at Momentum is how to meet families where they are when they have this financial plan, they've got the estate plan, they have the trustee named, all of those things, but they don't have a plan for Monday morning when mom and dad are gone. We have siblings that are expected to go back to work, right? And when mom had to go to a facility over the weekend unexpectedly, there isn't a plan. And they need tangible help to figure out, okay, what are we doing next steps wise? Who do we call? How do we hire somebody? A lot of families will say, hey, we have funding, but I don't know how to hire somebody and I'm scared because I've heard my neighbor hired help for mom and they turned over 18 times and I have to go to work. We have to figure out something. Does that mean my only option is a group home? And it's just been an absolute blessing in Boone County to serve several families that are continuing living in their parents' home throughout the rest of their lives. The problem in Kentucky, if you're familiar at all with Health and Human Services, we have Medicaid waiver programs that offer funding that would otherwise be used in an institution, but to help people stay in their home in the community. And those services are often one-on-one support to be able to meet those life skill needs. We currently have over 20,000 families on that waiting list. 1 in 4 of those caregivers are over age 60. And with 7 Medicaid waiver programs, we still do not have, obviously, enough programs and funding to be able to meet those needs. And then particularly for siblings, that we are finding that while there is an emergency pathway, for that waiting list, if you have a crisis where you've lost a parent, your parent is no longer able to provide care, that kind of a thing, there is an emergency pathway. We are finding that most families in this situation are not educated about that. And or when they go to our social systems looking for help, they are not informed of that. And so they are just moving people into their basements and trying to figure this out, all while working and doing all of these other things. So Momentum Family Strategy is a consulting firm focused on helping families build practical systems, teams, and plans to help sustain that life at home, to be able to give their sibling the healthy, safe, engaged life that mom and dad have tried to foster, that the siblings desperately want to foster. And we're really proud to say that we've been able to help families access $10 million in care funding so far. So part 2 with Pattersons, we met Robert and his sister Cheryl. They had no formal services in place. She was paying for caregivers out of family savings, and that money, while they had it now, was going to run out. Within 4 months of partnering with them, we were able to help them access a Medicaid waiver program that helped with $250,000 per year in care funding. That, we have a Medicaid situation that's undeniable, but for now, those programs will be in place to be able to help throughout the duration of that person's life. And can help with all kinds of things, including home support, environmental modifications as that person is aging. It can pay for a shower rehab or the kinds of things that you need to be able to sustain that, so that we are not uprooting them and putting them in a place, if that's not their choice. Some people, hey, mom and dad are gone and I do want to go live with other people again. But largely what we're seeing from this generation is the wish to stay at home. So we work with families in our Future Is Now program, because what we're finding is that we've always known this was going to happen. We have a 65-year-old here. It's been undeniable for 65 years that we're going to have long-term care. But the most that we've done is really stayed awake at night, because it is so overwhelming to figure out how we're going to handle that. And a lot of times parents don't want to put that on their sibling, right? And so it's been easier for a lot of folks to just hold on to that fear and think one day it'll happen when I'm gone. And then we have these emergency situations that are popping up where actually mom fell and broke her hip, and now we just simply can't move on. And so we work with families through that to help them figure out, okay, what funding is available, and then how can we make that last? What programs can we access? What people can we put in place to essentially make the sibling a CEO, right? So they're not having to be there every day. Let's build a team around them so that they can have their sibling do, the best life that they really want with their team. And so, with our work with Cheryl, we were able to build a team of 5 folks, people who either knew him or have come to know him, that are reliable. They show up every day. They receive a fair wage through our Medicaid waiver programs. They are now able to use family dollars to pay for things that they wouldn't have otherwise, right? If they had to just spend down on daily care hours, they wouldn't have been able to help him travel like we've all been doing, do those types of things, right? And she's finally able to step back and assist her, instead of the daily person who's there all the time, who's trying to split her time between work and her own health and her siblings' health. And overall, Cheryl reports that she is much happier and healthier now, knowing that her sibling is taken care of and she can meet her own care needs instead of just focusing on her brothers. Just a little bit about how we work with families. We connect with families largely through our website or our phone, depending upon technology skills. And we work with them on a starter session and figure out what the right fit is going to be. And then we get started working on how do we build those systems. We have a couple of other options that we work with for families. A lot of times we'll have, especially in rooms like these, hey, I know somebody who's a parent and they're planning. We also work with them on a little bit more of a limited basis, just depending upon their needs, to make a roadmap. Hey, we've seen where this older generation is right now and the lack of support they've had. We have some tools here. How can we help you build that roadmap so that we don't get in the situation for your child that maybe is in their 20s or 30s? And also support navigation, working with families to figure out what options are available to them. Recently, we had a 30-year-old sister come to us. Mom and dad are both unavailable due to substance use disorder. She has taken guardianship of her 20-something's brother who needs total care. She has children of her own. She is working full-time. And it is just simply too much. And she said, I think I have to put him in a nursing home. He's in his 20s, right? Put him in a nursing home? Let's think that through. And so we were able to work with them to look at, okay, what could a Medicaid waiver look like? If you don't have a primary caregiver available, we could get that for you. What could a group home that maybe wasn't funded by the state look like? What could an intermediate care facility, which is kind of our new version of institutional settings, if that's really what we have to do, what could that look like? And then what could a nursing home look like? And ultimately, we've arrived at, hey, there's a program that would work for you. He'll be able to go into a group facility that would be a great fit for him because he's social and he loves to be with other people. And so that's another way we're supporting siblings, maybe if it's not quite mom and dad are gone. I'm not sure what's happening with my slide. Those were not.
It's because it was PowerPoint, you pulled it into Google
Thanks for
Slides.
check marks, but nonetheless, yeah, so we're working with adults with developmental disabilities, aging parents that are stepping back, folks that are trying to figure out, setting up their financial plans, working with those professionals as well, and overwhelmed siblings. Just a couple of examples of folks that we've supported largely here in our region. A parent that had a stroke, they had an individual with Down syndrome, and they suddenly, unexpectedly need help. We worked with a therapist there who was able to help us get connected and get them services in place. We also work with families that have a special needs trust available, but they don't know what to do with those funds. The number of families we've talked to who've said, hey, we have a large sum of money that's available for my sibling, and I have no idea how to use it. We've just been, they're just hanging out in the basement, basically. We don't know how to hire a caregiver. And come to find out, we could have hired the niece or something like that, that would have been taking a significant load off everybody, but we didn't know that was even an option, And then just also working with families that are stuck in the system. We have 20,000 families on our waiting lists. And so being able to help folks get some momentum built there in terms of getting connected with the right folks and moving the needle. So, being relief that you can imagine after hearing all that, working with these families really helps them stop guessing, be able to use their future planning dollars to maximize the life for their sibling, work through housing transitions and figuring out what that can look like. Some people decide, hey, mom and dad's house isn't really a good fit for us. We want to do a condo instead. And that is often a plan that works really well for folks in a smaller home. And just generally building towards a thriving life. We've got Robert out there traveling now, right? That was not something that was possible when he was home in the basement hanging out because we didn't have a plan. I would welcome any questions that you guys have about life after mom and dad. I'm sure that's probably not the topic that you thought when we got into secret lives of the professionals in Northern Kentucky, but certainly, especially in that 65 age group, we are seeing this as a very common issue among business owners and executives.
If you have 20,000 on your wait list, is there any plans to expand what you're doing?
So that's the state Medicaid wait list. Unfortunately, as hard as I could try, I cannot move that number for us. That would be a question for the legislature. In terms of, we do not have a waiting list at Momentum. And we're very proud to operate in that space where more families are not waiting for services. We're able to help them same day. Yeah.
Are you out of Louisville or Northern Kentucky?
Because my phone number is 502.
Yeah.
I'm from Louisville, and I have found my new home here. I've been here for 3 years. I wasn't sure, folks, but actually I love it. And I'm very proud to be here in Bibb County. But I haven't changed my number just because it's the number.
How is Momentum funded?
Privately. So we work privately with families. It's a private pay service. We made that decision intentionally not to accept Medicaid dollars because we need to be able to advocate for families. And one of the reasons why we have waiting lists and that kind of thing is there's providers in our Medicaid system are not able to advocate at the level they need to because they're relying on that funding. And it's kind of a catch-22.
Thanks for a great presentation. There's so many families going through this dilemma, including my own. A couple of things. First of all, are you set up on a nonprofit or a for-profit model?
Get that question a lot.
Yeah.
We are set up on a for-profit model. I did that intentionally for speed to get this off the ground. I anticipate we will open a nonprofit arm at some point. But when we started to really take a pulse on the sibling issue, we knew we had to go. And so for now.
And then I'm curious how you keep on using the term we, how you have employees?
Yeah, so we have 3 team members that work in a variety of different capacities.
Thank you.
Of course.
The Medicaid waiver, how long does that typically take for me to get the Medicaid waiver?
So if you're looking for residential level services like we've been talking today, the observational data is 20 years.
Whoa.
Unless you have a emergency situation, which is what we're talking about, right? If that happens, we can usually get it in less than a month.
Less than one.
Less than a month. Depending upon the situation, you know, a lot of times with this older crowd, we have to go get evaluations and things that are not available because they're not digital records. So but you know, 1 to 3 months is generally about how long it takes to get going. If you have a true emergency that meets the state's definition. So that would be loss of a parent or primary caregiver, due to a decline in physical or mental health status of that primary caregiver, loss of funding, documented abuse and neglect, and some other things.
So did you put in for the waiver, like when the child was in their 30s?
Yes, so if you have someone that is a younger person, you should be meeting with the Aging and Disability Resource Center here at NKADD to get on the waiting list if you have a younger person, absolutely. I would expect, you know, basically as soon as somebody's diagnosed these days, we're telling families to head that way. On our Michelle P. waiver program, if you've heard of that, that has about a 10-year waiting list right now. And that's generally where we were hoping children could be. Long story short, Kentucky has not dealt with the need for our residential program. So we have more folks that need that level of care than we've had funding for the last 20 years. Michelle P.'s grandparents sued the state of Kentucky about 15 years ago and said, hey, we want services while we're waiting. That now has a 10,000 person waiting list. We're backfilling it into our home and community-based services program, which is intended for aging and physically disabled adults. And now we have grandparents that can't get services. We have kids with autism that aren't being served. And so that is a large part of why I did not continue in the Medicaid program in that way, more so working to help solve those problems.
You help families when they've been, I mean, my understanding is that things will apply for that Medicaid and then they will keep getting dinner and things, you help families with that process.
We do not work with insurance. So typically that's working generally with an attorney or something like that to figure out in terms of the insurance side. If you qualify for a Medicaid waiver, there are several pieces to that question, but if you're qualified for a Medicaid waiver, you can get Medicaid insurance and it goes together, is the short answer to that. But there's more to that. Younger families getting access to Medicaid issue for sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Doing the medical.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And then next week, we have Jessica Fetty from Mayor Erlanger that will be here talking about the new park out.
Yep.
Exciting. Anybody else have anything else? Not good.
Good job.
Hey, Steve, you didn't pass by.